my 250x tiny marketing war room. I was working for my dad in the insurance business back in the day as an employee, and I was just finishing up my first year working in the insurance agency. I had given my dad my personal guarantee that I would work in the agency from the back door to the front door. I would learn every job under the sun in terms of insurance. I would learn it, fire myself, go to the next job, learn it, fire myself, go to the next job, learn it, replace myself, go to the next job. And I had really enjoyed my first 12 months in the insurance business. I started out processing paper. I started out answering phones. I didn't even have an insurance license. I had to study. I had to take a 2-week course, and I got my insurance license about 4 months into the first year. So I was doing all the jobs from the front door to the back door. I was scanning paper. I was cleaning. I was doing everything. And then once I got my license, I graduated to servicing clients. I was an assistant service rep. Then I was a service rep. Then I gradually got into my bread and butter, which is belly to belly, toe to toe sales. I was selling and quoting insurance on the phone. And this was the job that I was at when I finally finished my first year, my tour of duty. And the agreement I had with my dad after we sat down at the kitchen table a year ago, there was my mom, my sister, and my brother, and my dad had an offer to sell McLean Insurance. I was coaching junior A hockey at the time. My sister's a nurse, and my brother is a lawyer. And none of us were in the insurance business, and none of us had shown any interest in making that our career. So my dad was sitting at the table with my mom, and I remember to this day, he said, you know, last call for alcohol. I've got a signed written agreement here to sell McLean Insurance, and once it's gone, it's gone. He goes, I just want to emphasize for the 200th time how incredible this business is in terms of wealth and lifestyle. You can do very well financially. It's a wonderful business, and you can have an incredible life because of it. So at the time, I was making $30,000, coaching my own hockey team. There really wasn't any chance for me to scale. I was going to be stuck coaching local hockey for $30,000 a year, and I was starting to think a little bit about down the road, you know, when I'm married, when I have children, you know, how in the world am I going to live on $30,000 a year? So that's when I said at the kitchen table, I said, Dad, I'll do it. I'll sell my franchise tomorrow. I'll come work with you shoulder to shoulder for the next year. I'll give you 1 year. And I said, you teach me the business from the back door to the front door. And after 12 months, I said, you and I can sit down and we'll make a decision. Either I'm in or out, period, to buy this place. And then we can agree on a number and we can go from there. So my mom and dad both agreed to that. My brother and sister weren't interested in the business. So I agreed to the 12-month trial, basically. And I'll never forget, the 12-month trial came and went, and I marched into my dad's office and I said, Dad, I'm in. I said, I like this business. I want to purchase the agency. I want to purchase the building. I want to take this company to the next level. I said, you know, you got an incredible business here, and I want the opportunity to become the owner. So my dad agreed to a 10-year buy-sell agreement with interest payments for the building and for the business. I wasn't given any deals. I have a brother and a sister, and I paid the going rate in the industry, the multiple times commission I paid for the building, and we set up monthly payments of $35,000 a month, 12 months a year. I had to come up with that nut, $35,000 a month. So I was going to have to live pretty frugal over the next decade. So I was all in on the insurance business. And I remember walking up the street to see my friend Tom Burns, who is the longtime owner of Burns Jewelers, coming up in a few years on their 100th anniversary. And Tom had this office, still has this office, above his jewelry store. And I used to go up there and talk to him, and I'm like, this is what I need. I need a war room like this. I need an office like this where nobody bothers me, where I can work and I can plan and I can scheme and I can build out the plan of attack now that I'm going to be buying McLean Insurance. In other words, I needed a marketing war room. And he said to me, he goes, well, Michael, he says, the back apartment right behind him, he says, is open. He says, it's for rent. I'll rent it to you. So Tom takes me down the hallway to this tiny, it's a bachelor apartment. There really isn't even a bedroom. There's a kitchen, there's a bigger room, and then there's a little nook where somebody would put a bed. And it's all been updated, right? He's got new carpet. He's got new paneling on the wall. It's bright. It's full of sunshine in the afternoon. There's even a door where I could walk out onto the roof and get some sun and read. So I'm visualizing this, right? This is going to be my marketing war room. This is where I'm going to put the ultimate marketing plan together, my plan of attack. It's like I'm a general, right? I'm General George Patton, and I'm studying and I'm preparing for my plan of attack. They'll never see me coming. So Tom says to me, he goes, Michael, I'll rent it to you. He says, give me $300. And he doesn't even know at the time. He thinks I'm going to live there. He goes, give me $300 a month. You and I are pals, and it's month to month. So I agree to that. At the time, admittedly, I didn't even have the $300. I'm like, I can barely pay that. I was making $30,000 a year as my dad. And as you know, that doesn't pay hardly anything. I could barely pay my credit card. And I was living in a little one-bedroom apartment at the time with a leased vehicle. So I didn't have any money. But I found a way to make that work because I was going to be taking over my dad's agency and buying it. So that was my first $300 a month marketing war room. And I have to say with pride that room was responsible for me 250xing the marketing of our agency. That room is the reason that we were able to grow McLean Insurance from 3.4 million to 17.1 million. It's the reason we were able to triple the size of our agency, and most importantly, our profits in the first 36 months after that. I tripled the size and profits of that agency in that small town in the first 3 years after I rented that marketing war room. So what did I use the room for? I couldn't do marketing at the office, and I couldn't really work in my apartment. It wasn't set up. It wasn't a good environment for laying stuff out. Like with marketing, you have to have storyboards. Those big boards, white dry erase boards where you lay it out. You build your funnel, you build your flyer, you build your newsletter. And, Walt Disney was famous for the storyboards. His entire conference room, his entire office was these massive cork boards and massive chalkboards at the time where he had his vision. He called them vision boards and storyboards. And basically you're laying out all your marketing so that you can look at it. It's like the police officers when they're trying to solve a murder, they have the big storyboard. They had the big board of, okay, here's all the people. It's a visual thing, right? And it allows you to constantly, your subconscious and conscious, work on the story or the vision. So that's what I did with this office. There wasn't one single thing in here. Not a piece of furniture, not a knife, not a fork, not a toaster oven, not a chair, not a bed, nothing. Nothing on the walls at all. So I'll never forget, I said, okay, I'm gonna work in this place with a desk, a chair, and a laptop. That's it. A desk, a chair, and a laptop. And I went to IKEA and I bought this massive table. It wasn't even a desk, it was a table. And I put the thing together, which is saying a lot because I'm not the handiest guy on earth. And I put this table together, and it's like 10 feet wide, and it's like 4 feet, 5 feet deep. And then I actually splurged and bought a really good desk chair, a nice, comfortable computer chair. And then, of course, this is 19 years ago. Of course, I have my laptop. And on my laptop, I'm basically just using my Word document. That's what I'm doing, is I'm just using it to design ads and headlines and different things like that. So really interesting. Bare bones everything. So I start to work in this place on the marketing of the company. And I remember every night after dinner, I would go up there and work for 2 to 3 hours. So from about 7 to 10 p.m., sometimes a little later, I'd put in 2, 3, even 4 hours of uninterrupted marketing time. That's all I worked on, was execution. I wasn't studying marketing. That's what I did every day. I was reading books. I was studying copywriting. I was studying the old ads. But what I was doing was execution. And for 2, 3, 4 hours every night, 7 days a week, I'd go up into my war room, and there was no phone, there was no internet. I didn't carry a cell phone, and I would work for 2, 3, 4 hours uninterrupted. And some of the time I bought, everything was on white pieces of paper, blank white pieces of paper. And I would use black Sharpie, red Sharpie. And so once again, I wasn't using any technology. And I would draw out with black Sharpie these flyers. I would draw out these postcards. I would draw out the newsletter I was going to send every month. I would draw out the free pizza promotion I was going to do. I would draw out anything and everything, my referral program. And I did it all by hand. And then I would tack it up on the wall. I would tack it up actually on the wall. And to this day, I mean, I didn't put staples in the wall. I used that green gummy kind of stuff, and I would put them up. So I'm about two months into this thing, working in my war room. And one night, Tom's working in the back, and he comes walking down the hallway, and he knocks on the door, and he comes in, and he just literally, his mouth just drops. Because what does he see? He sees literally 300 pages of paper, 300 pieces of paper that are all tacked up on all the walls around the apartment. The entire war room is paper up on the wall of flyers, postcards, referral programs, newsletters, thank you letters, you name it. Anything and everything to do with marketing and advertising is up on the wall. I designed it by hand, and then what I'm planning on doing is taking it to the printer, and the printer will make this a reality. See, this is where a lot of guys get tripped up. I've never designed any marketing in my life. I do it all by hand, and sometimes I'll do it in Word. I'll do the headline in Word, I'll do the bullets in Word, the phone number in Word, I'll write out the testimonials. But most of the time I do it in hand or I do it in Word, but I don't do any design. Marc-Andre does all of this designing for me. But back in the day, when it was just me, I used to take these pieces of paper and one at a time, and I would go to the printer down the street and I'd say, okay, I want to buy 500 of these flyers. I want you to create 500 of these flyers, and I'm going to send them every week. So part of the printing cost was they would do the graphic design. And remember, 20 years ago, this is a big deal, right? But where I got my stuff printed at the Perth Courier, they had this lady who was a design wizard. I mean, design wizard. What I said she would do. And for some reason, we had a connection where she would get exactly what I was looking for. And to this day, I was just amazed looking back at those newsletters and flyers and postcards, how she was able to create exactly what I wanted. So I knew how to do it. I knew what I wanted created, but I used her skills to make it happen. I would literally just hand her the piece of paper and say, okay, the headline needs to be 1/3 of this. Then under the headline is the bullets. Under this is the good morning, is the phone number. And then the entire back is testimonials. And I would have the photos of the clients and things like this. I go, this is the color, it's gonna be goldenrod, it's gonna be bright yellow, it's gonna be orange, it's gonna be green, whatever. And she would literally design the whole thing. And as time went on, she started to read my mind, right? It's like Marc-Andre can read my mind. Leanne can read my mind. Like when I start working with somebody, it's a messy kitchen. I'm like, do this, do this, do this, do this. Don't do that, don't do that. And then after a while, after they survive, they realize and they start to read my mind. They're like, okay, this is exactly, like Marc-Andre knows exactly how I want the newsletter. He knows exactly where I want the photos. He knows exactly what I want underlined. He knows exactly what I want bolded. He knows exactly the fonts I want. And that's part of the immersion of working together. So I literally would go to the printer every week, the graphic designer, and get something else created. And then I would get them printed. And the first thing I did was my postcard. I got this postcard, half a sheet postcard on card stock. And it had, who else wants to save 37% on their home and car insurance instantly. And then I had a whole bunch of stuff underneath it. So I got 500 of these printed, and I would mail 500 a week. So that was $500. It was 50 cents basically to print the card and 50 cents to mail it by bulk. So I was into $1, a little bit less, but about $1. And that's how I started, 500 cards. It was 500 cards a month, then it was 500 cards a week, and then we moved to a flyer after that and never looked back. We went from 500 flyers a week to 140,000 flyers a month, 140,000 flyers a month from 500 in the beginning. So as you can see, I was a welcome printing client. I literally killed hundreds, if not thousands of trees during my righteous insurance marketing career. But the point is this war room, no technology, no television, no email, no phone ringing, just me sitting at that desk, that IKEA table, and writing copy and designing ads and putting promotions together. And then the next day, walking them down the street to the graphic design artist and saying, make this, like a Picasso, make this. And she'd say, okay. The longer we worked together, the more she knew. Then she could cut and paste, right? She would have the phone number ready. She would have the headline ready. She'd have the picture of me ready. She would have the bullets ready. So it became simpler and simpler, faster and faster. But it all came back to that $300 a month marketing war room, a place where I call it success environment. Speaking of success environment, look at that sunrise behind me. That's success environment. That's why I moved my family here for the winters last year. Success environment. No masks, no restrictions, no creepy into your personal life, no school closures, no arena closures, no playground closures, none of it. None of it. Freedom in Florida, freedom. Pro-business, pro-family, pro-children, pro-America, pro-entrepreneurship, pro-capitalism. No income tax. God bless Florida. That sunrise back there is the only reason you need to get up and claim your personal sovereignty every day. Life is a gift, and look at that environment behind me. How the hell can somebody be depressed? How can somebody be worried and stressed and anxious if you're taking care of yourself mentally and physically? You're doing all the things you need to do as grow and progress as a person, and you're serving others, plus you have an environment like that. Man, oh man, that is personal sovereignty. That's personal sovereignty right behind me. That's environment. Environments for champions, willpowers for chumps. So my $300 per month war room was environment. It was a place that I could go and literally, like a Thomas Edison back in the day, where I could work on my inventions. You know, most of them were failures. Most of them were losers, but it didn't matter. I had 300 marketing ideas to test. I'd test this one, test this one, test this one, 100, sometimes 50. I'd mail 50, mail 100. If it's a winner, I mail more. If it's a loser, I take it behind the shed and kill it and bury it with a shovel. So wins, losses, scale, cut. And that's how I did it. I designed the yellow page ads. I designed the magnets, the post-it notes on the front of the newspaper. I created advertorials, client of the month, everything and anything. And when Tom walked in that day, his chin just dropped and he looked at the 300 things tacked up on all the walls and he said, "Man, they'll never see you coming." And he asked me, he said, "When do you plan to launch all this? When do you plan to execute all this?" I said, "The first day I'm owner." You want to talk about sequential, not, you want to talk about massive action. You want to talk about not one thing at a time. You want to talk about an all-out assault. Here we have this little conservative 3-person agency in a small community. You know, you got the big $30 million agency. You got a handful of other agencies that are bigger than us. And then you have McLean Insurance, who's always been a, polite society, polite company. My dad's a very conservative and likable guy. And, just stay in your place there, Frank. Don't rock the boat. And then he sells his company to his renegade son. And behind the scenes, in the darkness, when nobody's watching, I'm working, I'm building, I'm dreaming, I'm creating. Like I'm a Walt Disney in the swamp. I'm just creating, I'm dreaming. Everybody's telling me it's not possible. Everybody's telling me to think small, or everybody's telling me I'm crazy. Keep working, keep building, keep creating. In the dark, private victories precede public. Private victories precede public. Like Tom Burns said, they'll never see you coming, Michael. It's an all-out assault. It's an absolute all-out assault on the industry. They'll never see you coming. They'll never see you coming. So I put in the work. I put in the work like a marketing Navy SEAL. And of course, my competitors haven't done any work. So when I go balls to the wall with all this stuff, there's nothing they'll be able to do. If it works, there's nothing they'll be able to do. So that's what exactly happened over the next 17 or 18 years that I owned the company. I remember the first day the 500 postcards hit the mailboxes, only 500 postcards. And already it was like a ripple effect. Already I was the talk of the town. 500 measly postcards. Already I'm the most respected, most referred, most talked about, and the villain hat is out. The black hat villain hat is out. And I've always said in the hockey business, in the window washing business, in the barbershop business, the consulting business, and the insurance business, if somebody's going to try to portray you as the villain, man, wear that hat. There is nothing more powerful for self-promotion, for marketing, for advertising than wearing the villain's hat, the black hat villain. So I wore it. I want it to be the most despised. I want it to be the most hated man by my competitors. My competitors were all backstabbers. My competitors in the insurance business were all little boys, growing men that showed up as little boys. They were wimps, they were victims, they were passive-aggressive backstabbers. So for me, anything and everything I could do for a full daily assault, emails, texting, mail, newsletters, anything and everything I could do to sell insurance, I did. So when that first day happened, that first week happened, that first month happened, it was an incredible experience I'll never forget, because Tom Burns was correct. He said they'll never see you coming. And from that day forward, we started taking, 10 policies a week, and then we started taking 15 policies a week from the competitors. Then we got up to 40 policies a week, and then we got up to 300 policies a week, and then we got up to 400 policies, and you know the story. At the end of it, we had a marketing radius of 400 miles around my desk. If you took a circle and drew it around on a map around my desk, 400-mile radius, television, radio, direct mail, magnets, post-it notes, you name it. But it all started in a tiny, dingy $300 an hour war room. And it was basically a bachelor apartment that my friend was generous enough to rent it to me. Private victories precede public victories. Do the work when nobody's watching. Work when they sleep. And just do the work. And then when you launch or attack, they never see you coming. All they can do is whine and complain. And then you drive them to more distraction. Then I mailed more. Then I attacked more. And it's a game and it's fun. It's a game and it's fun. So everything that I created in that war room is in my swipe file, my $155 million swipe file. I literally sold millions and millions and millions of dollars with the marketing that's included in that swipe file in every industry I've ever been in. Barbershop, hockey business, window washing business, real estate, insurance, consulting, anything and everything. Every flyer, every postcard, every referral program, every customer newsletter I had wrote, help wanted ads, phone scripts, which are worth, they're called my $5 million phone scripts. You get your receptionist or your service or your salespeople to copy these phone scripts, you're automatically going to improve your bottom line by 30%. There's a little tiny yellow postcard in there that I used to call my $1 million postcard that I would send out 5 a week, 25 a week in total, and they would bring in thousands and thousands of dollars of bottom line profit every week. 25 postcards that I would send to clients, 25 clients, and I had 5 service reps, so 5 per service rep, 25 cards, and we would get 25 phone calls and my service reps would sell 25 additional policies. They had almost a 90% closing ratio with this product. 25 cards, which is $25 on a bad day, and I'm selling 25 policies. Most insurance agents, they don't have the card. They don't have time to create that card. It would take 1 hour. So instead of creating and trying to learn all this stuff, why don't you swipe and deploy my stuff? Even if you only use one thing in this swipe file. Let's say you use that yellow card in your business. Let's say you use just the phone scripts. You've just 25x'd, 100x'd your investment. So I've sold this, my $155 million swipe file. I sold it for $5,000, and then I started selling it from the stage at speaking events for $2,000. And for the last handful of years, I've been selling it for $997, which is a steal, because it's a printed product. It costs me money to FedEx it. It costs me money to print it. It costs me money for Leanne to create it and ship it to you. So it's not about just the money. But I'm telling you right now, if you don't own this swipe file, you're at a handicap. You're trying to do it yourself. You're trying to create your own things. You're trying to learn, and you're not getting anything done. Why do any of that work when you can just take my stuff and copy it? Like I said in the video the other day, all you have to do is change the phone number in the photo. You can use my headline. You can use my bullets. You can use everything. And you just personalize it and get it out the door. And you're making money. But that's what a swipe file is about. Like, I have a massive swipe file. I have a swipe file that's the size of my kitchen in my office. It's the size, it's cabinets, file cabinets, file cabinets, file cabinets of swipe files. I have a swipe file of all the greatest ads in history. The sales letters, the advertisements, the promotions, I have it all. Well, guess what? When you take my swipe file, you have a massive collection now of things that you can go to at your fingertips. You want a referral program? It's right there. Just put your name on it. You want an upsell postcard to mail every week? Use mine. You want to start a client monthly newsletter? Copy mine. You want phone scripts? Use phone scripts to, 30x your income? Use mine. You want my receptionist phone script? Use mine. You want upsells, downsells? Use mine. You want to send a flyer? Use mine. You want to send emails? Copy and use mine. It's that simple. Swipe and deploy. I don't have this stuff copyrighted. When you buy the swipe file, you have the right to use, personalize, and use the materials in the swipe file. And that's what it's all about. Speed. You're buying speed. You're buying quickness, and you're not having to reinvent. And all this stuff is proven to work, right? That's the big thing. It's proven to work. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So it's only on sale this week. You've got a few more days, and that's it. BadassSwipefile.com. $9.97, and then I'll take it off the market for a while. So it's not like you can buy this anytime, because I'm not going to bother Leanne with this. She has more important things to do than print and create swipe files. So you have a couple more days, and then it's gone. $9.97, that's a steal. Plus, there's some nice online webinar trainings that come with it as well. BadassSwipefile.com. If you hate online shopping like me, if you're against it, I've never been on Amazon. Fuck those guys. I'm never going on those sites. I'm never doing online shopping. And when we have to, my wife does it. But just email Leanne. Her email's below. Leanne@badassmillionaire.com. Leanne@badassmillionaire.com. And she'll charge your card, and she'll FedEx the swipe file out to you in a couple of days. So there's two ways you can get it: BadassSwipefile.com and or Leanne@badassmillionaire.com. And man, just take the stuff and use it as your own. I put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the war room creating this stuff. Make sure that just stake it and swipe it, and make sure you're not like the Arkansas guy. Make sure you change the phone number. I don't want those phone calls going to the agency that I sold it to, or I don't want those phone calls going to the barber shop, or I don't want those phone calls coming to Leanne because you didn't change the number on one of my postcards or one of my emails or whatever it is. So swipe and deploy. Badass swipe file. Good morning, Brian. BadassSwipeFile.com. That's it. Looks like a gorgeous day here in Southwest Florida. I have my mastermind with my top elite, top 1%ers. We have Sir Doberman Dan today joining us, one of the top copywriters on the planet. Doberman is going to be on with us today for 2 glorious hours. I love Doberman. We've become pals. He works for me now, and he is a recluse. He has built this incredible world in North Florida, and you should see it. He just walks to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else. He's made his money. He's a former Ohio police officer who moved here. He moved to Costa Rica, then he moved here, and he just does copywriting. And he's so particular. He has a newsletter, he writes some books, but he completely lives on his own terms. I'm not kidding you. Just to hire him, he was like, he likes me, so he works for me. But that's it. And he completely works on his own terms. Me and him are opposites too. Like, he's a much kinder and gentler man than I am. But we work well together. I really have a lot of respect for how big his heart is, how kind he is, how compassionate and empathetic he is. He's just a really solid guy. And he's just like, he doesn't have any kids. He's got his dogs, and he's like 100% independent. And he writes when he writes. He owns his mornings, and then in the afternoons he does his other stuff. He loves his guns. He loves his freedom. He loves America. And he's just a different cat. And I love different cats. And he's a real, like, talk about gift. He's taken this gift. It's a gift that he's developed it right into his craft. It's his art. Copywriting is his art. So the guys are going to see today, he just takes an ad and he's just like, boom, 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 change this better. Boom, 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 change this better. And he does it in a very professional way. So Doberman Dan, that's the kind of guys that I bring into these champions masterminds. If you're interested in applying for our champions mastermind, it's $50K a year for 12 months. It's the best of the best. You need to be a top 1% performer. And you can also email Leanne anytime if you're interested in either of my masterminds. I have my Champions Mastermind, which is top 1%ers, and my World Builders Mastermind, which is top 5%ers. BadassWorldBuilders.com is where you apply, and it's Badass Champions, I believe. If that's wrong, then email Leanne. That's it. God is good. God is great. Life is a gift. We've been given another day. Make sure you claim your personal sovereignty. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.